Welcome to the last Zen Doodle with Mrs. I for this series. Today, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be, I just filled in that little spot, but then the next one, this is one of my favorites actually, is where you make a cursive L and kind of continue along that path with the cursive L, and then you shadow a line around what you've done with the L, and then color in to the outside edge. And what that does is that just kind of gives you that kind of funky looking shape, and then adds that dark color that again adds texture and kind of shows off the shape a little bit. So, and I probably, for this one, I probably could have used my Sharpie. I didn't. Sometimes it's hard to get into those little spaces, but there's some pretty big space in there too that probably the Sharpie would have gone a little faster. Oh, turn it around. That's another thing, especially working with the smaller pieces of paper. Turn them so that they work for you, so that your hand's not in a weird shape, or that you're not especially writing or like dragging your hand over fresh or wet ink, so that you smear it, because that would be really sad where you worked really hard on your tangle and then, or your doodle, and then it got smeared. Not that you couldn't fix it. Like I said, there's not much that you can't fix in a Zen doodle. All right, now on to the next one. This is just kind of a funky one where you make those three teardrop shapes, I guess, and then just add some texture into them. I'm just doing some little shadows in there, and then putting in, there's the curved line of those shapes, the teardrop shapes, and then I'm putting in straight lines behind it. Again, playing with those curves and straight lines, different textures, different colors. That's what makes these Zen doodles fun. I've gotten some pretty neat Zen doodles that people have done. So please, if you're doing these Zen doodles, please send them. Oh, there we go. I'm coloring in those dots. Yep. I wasn't sure if I added that or not. This one's kind of a fun one. You put in kind of some focus shapes. So I'm using triangles in this case. So some bigger triangles. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the spaces with smaller triangles. So I'm just going to try and fill the space, and I'm not trying to do any specific pattern where they match up or anything like that. I'm just really trying to fill the space with all kinds of different shapes of triangles. I want it to be more abstract, kind of more eclectic. I don't want it to necessarily be patterny where you can predict where the next triangle is going to go. And then what I'm going to do too is I'm going to, after I get those triangles set in, I'm going to try and just accentuate those focus pieces a little bit more. So some of the ways that I do that, I'm going to darken the edges of the triangle a little bit. And I'm also going to add just a little corner accent piece. So I'm just going to take one of the corners and make just a little check mark, I don't know what you call it, just kind of a little mark in the corners, just to kind of show that off a little bit. And then, like I said, I'm going to darken those edges to accentuate them a little bit more. And so then you have just kind of a fun repeating shape. And sometimes I like to darken the edges of the whatever I'm working on. When I have those little pieces, those little shapes that I'm not sure what I want to do within them, a lot of times I'll just do a shadow or an aura and just fill them in, unless I can think of something fun that, some other fun thing to do. All right, now here I'm working with curved lines again, and I'm doing just an oval basically that goes along and gets bigger. It kind of is creating its own line, and then I'm just filling in the shapes until the end. And I'm filling in the spaces around the ovals just to add more definition to those shapes. And then I'm not going to do anything really fancy with them. I'm going to leave those. I'm just going to do a little bit of shading on the inside. And I decided I wanted to add a little extra. There's a little extra space there, and a little oval could fit in there fine. So again, filling in those edges. You can see how that's kind of making those ovals pop. So you can really, really see them. Now, there's lots of things that I could do with those ovals. I could put different patterns inside the ovals, but I've decided just to do a little bit of kind of shading in the same area in each oval. I've seen some really cool things where you could do like a spider web. You could do some triangles in. You could just do dots in them, small little circles, little bubbles, little swirls. Lots of fun things you could do to the inside of those. Now this is how I'm going to finish up the piece, and what this is I'm just making kind of a swirly line that follows the shape of the space that I have left. I'm going to then echo that on the inside. I kind of colored in with just some lines. It's not a full, I didn't color it in fully, but just kind of shaded it, and then I'm going to fill in the outside edges of that. And that is going to be the end of my Zentangle. So I hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, this is something that I really love to do. When I have nothing else to do, I'll pull up a YouTube video and I'll just sit and doodle, or sometimes I'll do this while I'm watching TV or just hanging out with my family. I really love it. I think it's a fun thing to do, and there's so many really cool shapes that you can make. One of the things I was doing yesterday is I was looking at 3D shapes that you can make, and I was not very good at it, but I'm going to keep practicing and keep doing it. So I hope that you found this fun and that you continue to Zentangle in the future. Have a great day, everybody.